Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So today we will see the practical deployment of your ESA. So what we are going to do today is we are going to deploy your ESA on the ESXi. Okay, so this will be a virtual deployment and I'll guide you through all the steps that how you can perform the deployment. Okay, now so let's talk about the steps. What are the steps that are going to be involved in deploying your ESA on the ESXi. Okay, so first I'll mention all the steps and then step by step I'll show you the deployment process. Okay, so the first thing we are going to have here is the first thing that we are going to perform here is we are going to upload the ESA VM on the ESXi. Okay, this is the first thing we are going to do. Then after, once we have uploaded, second thing we will do is what we are going to take FTP access to upload the license in the ESA. Okay, license in the ESA. So this is the second step we will take, and then the third step will be what? The third step will be we are going to take SSH access of the ESA, and then we are going to upload the license. Okay, then we are going to upload the license. These are the three steps that will be there in deploying your ESA on the ESXi and then licensing it. Okay, so let's go step by step and see all this. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll open my browser, and if I show you, we have three virtual models here. Okay, for Cisco Secure Email Virtual Gateway, which is C100V, C300V and C600V. Okay, and these all are taking, these are the disk space that they will consume, like 200 GB. Then C300V will take 500 GB and C600V will take 500 GB. Okay, and after that, if we talk about memory, so your C100V will take 8 GB, C300V will take 16 GB and C600V will take again 16 GB. And when it comes to the processor, so C100V will take 2 processors, C300V will take 4 processors, as well as C600V will take 8 processors. Okay, now here the ESA model that we are going to deploy is what? We are going to deploy the C300V. Okay, this is the model that we are going to deploy. So first thing you will need is what? That you have to download it. First of all, from the Cisco you have to download this software as a VM, and then also you need the license. Okay, so if you don't know how to take a demo license or evaluation license from Cisco, so that thing I'll cover in the upcoming videos. Okay, so I'll practically show you all the steps how you can take a access or how you can take a license demo and evaluation license from the Cisco itself. Okay, so right now let's keep it up to the point, that is we are going to see the deployment. So here if you see, I have my images ready with me. Okay, I have my C300V image ready with me, as well as I have the license also ready with me. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an access of my ESXi server. So I'll visit 202 and then I'm going to say login. So this is my ESXi server. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here in the virtual machine, and here I'm going to click on create and register VM. Then here I'm going to select that deploy a virtual machine from an OVA or OVF file. Select this option, then click on next. And here I'm going to name this virtual machine as ESA. Okay, I'm going to name this virtual machine as ESA, and we can also give the model that this is C300V. Okay, then after we have to select the files. So if I see, this is the path to my files, right? So I'll copy this path from here, and then I'll click on select files, and here I'll just paste the path. Okay, so one more time, let's copy the path, and then we are going to paste it here. and hit enter. So I have here, I'll double click and open it. Again I'll double click and open it. So here I have all my VMDK files and OVF files, everything is there. So I'm going to select all these files, then I'm going to say open. So it will automatically select the OVF and VMDK file. Then I'm going to say next. Again I'm going to say next here. Now these are the interfaces that will be available on your ESA, which is management interface, data interface and data interface second. Okay, so right now I'll be using management interface and I'll connect it to VM network. Okay, then after the disk provision, I'll keep it thin. So when we keep the disk provision as thin, it will not consume all the 500 GB all at once. Okay, as the data will gradually increase, gradually it will consume the space. Okay, and then it will I'll keep this box as checked, which is power on automatically, and I'll say next, then say finish. So here you can see my ESA deployment has started. Okay, so now this is going to take few seconds of time to completely get deployed and then power on. So once our ESA is powered on, then what we are going to do is we are going to perform the basic configurations. Now what kind of basic configurations we are going to perform? So the things like we will configure the management IP. Okay, so on the management interface of the ESA, we are going to configure the IP address, and once we configure management interface IP address, we will also configure that okay, we want to enable the SSH service, we want to enable the FTP service, as well as to take the GUI access of the ESA, we will be configuring HTTP and HTTPS also. Okay, these are the steps that we are going to perform further. So here you can see like it's almost done here, 90% already done. So it will just come up anytime. All right, so now it has almost deployed and it's starting up. So I'll just click on the ESA VM, and then from here I'll take a console. Okay, so I'll click on this console and I'll say launch remote console. Okay, so here my ESA is coming up. Now if we want, we can go and enlarge the screen. So I can just double click, and then from here in the VMRC I can go to preference and I can select here stretch the virtual machine in the window, and then I'll click on OK. So here I can see that the virtual machine has been stretched. Okay, so now ESA is starting up and it's going to take some time. So what we will do is we are going to wait for that time. Okay, so now we can see that our ESA is up and running. So now let's talk about what is the default username and password here. So if we talk about the default username and password for the ESA, so ESA belongs to Iron Port product family. Okay, so the default username here, okay, the default username is going to be admin, and the default password is going to be Iron Port. Okay, all small Iron Port. So let's go and log in. So I'll say here username is admin and password is Iron Port. So it says welcome to the Cisco C300V email security virtual appliance, and we just have to hit enter here. Now here we can see it says please run the system setup, set hostname and then commit before sending the mail. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we are going to say the first command, that is to configure the management interface. I'll say interface config. Okay, so it's asking which interface you want to configure. So by default you can see the ESA, it's taking the IP address on the management interface, which is 192.168.42.42/24. So now what I can do is either I can configure one of the IP from the same subnet in my management PC, and then I can take an access, or else if I want to configure one of the IP from my own subnet, so I can do that also. So as of current scenario, what I'm going to do on the ESA, I'm going to assign the IP address 10.1.1.10. This is the IP address that we are going to assign. Okay, so now it is asking me that choose the operation you want to perform. So the operation that I want to perform is what? Edit because I want to edit this IP address. So I'll type in here edit and I'll hit enter. Choose the number of interface you want to edit. So interface number 1 we want to edit. Then IP interface name. So the interface name management by default it's taking. So see here, if you see anything here in the square bracket, that means that's a default value, right? Okay, whatever you see in the square bracket, that is a default value. So here the default value is management, so I'll keep the name as management only. Then after, would you like to configure an IPv4 address? Yes, I want to configure, and you can see again in the square bracket we have Y, that means yes. So what is the IP? So the IP I want to assign is 10.1.1.10. Hit enter. Then after net mask, it's taking 24 by default, so I'll just keep it default. IPv6, no. Data interface, or which interface you want to configure, so I'll configure interface number 3, which is default management interface. Hostname, so let's say I'll give it hostname esa.cisco.com. Then do you want to enable SSH? So yes, I want to enable SSH. Which port do you want to use for SSH? So port number 22 I want to use. Yes. Do you want to enable FTP? So I'll say yes, because to upload the license we will require the FTP protocol. So I'll say yes. On which port do you want to enable? 21. So yes, 21. Then cluster communication service, say no. HTTP, yes. Port number 84 HTTP, yes. HTTPS also port number 443, yes. Then keep it no, again no. We don't want to enable any APIs right now. So both HTTP and HTTPS are enabled on this interface. So should the HTTP request redirect to the secure service? So that means it's asking whether you want to redirect your HTTP traffic also to the HTTPS. Now by default, what will happen, your ESA will use a demo certificate, right? So your browsers might not trust this certificate and they might give you an error like you are not able to establish a secure communication. So I'll just right now say here no, and I'll hit enter. And then I'll just hit again enter, no operation, and then to submit the changes I'll say commit, and I'll not give any comments here. Okay, so do you want to save the current configuration? No, I don't want to save the current configuration for rollback. And this is our changes are committed. Now since we have committed the changes, now it's time we upload the license and we can also enable the license. We can load the license in the ESA. Okay, so before that, what we will do is we will test the connectivity from my management PC to the ESA, and then also I will check the graphical access. Okay, so by now I should have the access. So what I'll do is I'm going to open here command prompt. So I'll say cmd. Then here I'm going to say ping 10.1.1.10. So you can see I have the connectivity with the ESA. Now I'll take the graphical access. Okay, so I'll go to my browser and I'll say https://10.1.1.10. Okay, so I'm getting access. I'll say username is what? Admin. Password is iron port. I'll not save the password. I got the access. Now if you see here, if I go to system administration and if I go for basic configuration, system setup wizard, so it's going to tell me that the license file must be installed prior to running the system setup wizard. So please install the license file via load license CLI command. Okay, so what we have to do, first of all, we will take the FTP access and then we are going to upload the license. Then after, we are going to use the SSH access to load the license, right? So let's do the same thing. I'm going to open here WinSCP. This is another program that I'm opening here. Now here we will take an FTP access. So here in the file protocol, I'll select FTP, and here I'll say 10.1.1.10, port number 21, username is admin, password is iron port, right? And I'll say login. Now once I log in, I will see here that, okay, here I have this configuration folder. In this configuration directory, I have to upload the license. Okay, so I'll go to the location where my license is there. Okay, so this is the license. I'll just copy this path and then I'll go here and I'll paste it. Then I'll say OK. So here I can see this is my license file. I'll drag it and drop it in the configuration folder. Okay, and at the same time what I'll do is I'll copy the name of this file. Okay, so I'll go for rename, select everything with the extension, copy, and then just we can minimize this. Now what I'll do is I'll take access of SSH. So for SSH access I'm using Mobax term. If you want you can use Putty software also. Okay, I'll go to the sessions, I'll say new session, I'll take a SSH access for 10.1.1.10. username I'll specify, username is what? Admin. I'll hit enter. So accept the new server host key and I'll give a password here. I'll say iron port and I'll say enter. So do you want to save the password? No, I don't want to save the password, and you can see it says welcome to the Cisco C300V email security virtual appliance. Now here what we have to do, so if you see here in the GUI we have that, okay, here we have to use the load license command, right? So this is the same command I'm going to use here. I'm going to say load license. Okay, then I'm going to say enter. Now how do you want to load the license? So do you want to paste the license via CLI or you want to load the license from file? So what I'll do is I'll say I want to load the license from file. Why? Because we have already uploaded the license in the ESA, right? The license file we have already uploaded, correct? So I'll say option number 2, and here we have to paste the name. So I'll paste the name of the file that we copied earlier and I'll say enter. And this is showing me the license, and I'll just keep on pressing space to scroll through the license agreement pages. Once this is done, do you accept the above license agreement? So I'll say yes, I accept, and I'll say enter. So it says the license was accepted, and this is telling you that okay, from when to when this particular license is valid, to whom this particular license was provided, okay, all this information. And once we have this thing, what we can do is if I refresh this page, I will see that I am going to the basic configuration wizard. Okay, so now what I can do here is I can go and assign the system host name. So I can say esa.cisco.com. Then to whom you want to send the email alerts. So let's say I want to send it on my email tnhbyk@gmail.com. Then after again same to whom the scheduled report should be sent to. So same email I'll give here. Okay, then you can select your country, okay, and time zone, right? So region I'll select, that region is Asia, country is India, time zone is Kolkata. Then I'll change the default password. So I'll say cisc@123, cisc0123, cisc0123. Then I'll say next. Okay, not now. Okay, passwords are not matching, not meeting the criteria. cisc@0123, cisc@0123. Then we'll say next. Then after we have to give a IPv4 gateway. So my IPv4 gateway is 10.1.1.1. Then my DNS server IP address is 10.1.1.53. Okay. Then after I'm enabling my management interface, and host name already there, IP address already there. If you want to accept the incoming mails on this interface, you can say accept the mails on this interface, or else if you want to use data interfaces, that is also totally fine. Okay. So then you can say next here. So you must configure at least one interface to accept the email. So let's use the same interface only. And here I'll say that okay, what is my mail server? So I'll say mail.cisco.com. Then here we will give the IP address 10.1.1.25 is my mail exchange server. Then I'll say next. Okay, so right now we are enabling the sender base reputation filtering also, anti-spam also we are enabling, and then we are enabling Sophos engine for antivirus scanning, and we are also enabling the outbreak filters. So I'll say next, and then we have this all configuration. Whatever the configuration we have done, I can just go and click on install this configuration and install. Okay, so Active Directory. So if you have an Active Directory server also, in that case you can mention here like AD DNS, and let's say my AD IP is 10.1.1.16, and then to log in you have to give the credential also. Let's say username is, for example, administrator, and then password you are using. Let's say for example my domain is Cisco, so Cisco, and then / administrator, and password for my administrator I'll type here. Okay, so this way. And if you don't have, no need to worry, you can just click on cancel, and without any AD also you can start the ESA. Okay, so this was all the step-by-step process how you can upload the ESA in the ESXi and how you can deploy it. Other than that, how you can license it. Okay, so if you find this information helpful, do like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.